I've had loved ones that have been incarcerated, so I know all too well what it's like to hope that your loved one makes better decisions. I think about just my life in general, how I was probably one bad decision away from being in a correctional institution myself. Much better. So tomorrow I want to see the unhooking because it's supposed to be a joint effort.
When NNEKA Jones TAPIA was appointed to lead Cook County Jail last spring, she made headlines because she's a psychologist and not a law enforcement officer. She's trained to view inmates more as patients than as prisoners.
My behavior was beyond bizarre.
I don't like it.
I've been diagnosed with bipolar and ADHD since the age of 13.
Illinois took all these mental health places and shut them down. And people like me and people out there that have mental health have nowhere to go. And the only thing you know how to do is survive on the street. And if you can't survive on the street, the police will come get you and bring you in here.
Stop staring.
When you see the number of people that we're dealing with mental illness, it's an awful truth of what the reality is for so many correctional institutions. Law enforcement in general and correctional facilities specifically were not meant to, cater to the severely mentally ill.
Just my imagination once again.
Nearly a third of all inmates at Cook County Jail suffer from psychological disorders, twice the number of 5 years ago.
Our staff identify people every day.
You wake up from nightmares with cold sweats?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever heard of post-traumatic stress disorder?
Retail theft.
Retail theft?
Yeah.
Okay. The guys that are mentally ill typically are in on retail theft, criminal trespassing, and possession.
Inmates receive psychiatric care from on-site medical staff.
Ran around for my depression, Paxil for mood swings.
I'm getting on Depakote.
I was taking Zoloft and Remeron.
I was put on a different medication, which is Effexor. That in itself has been awakening. I feel like a completely different person.
Be it the police, be it...
Last year, Dr. Jones TAPIA helped create a mental health transition center here, where inmates learn to manage their behavior and hold down a job.
To authority. And then we forget it. I don't want to do this. I ain't going to do that. And you don't even know. You might be cutting your own blessing off because of your mouth. That's why a lot of times what do we have to do? Just don't say nothing. And just follow the rules.
She's telling you, when you get out, the next day I'll have you a job.
I've fallen into a situation where I just kind of gave up on life for a short period of time. I was charged with domestic battery and a possession charge. The depression was at like a rock bottom when I came in.
We choose to make the necessary changes in our lives to be successful.
So far, 43 graduates of the transition center have been released. And according to the jail, none have been incarcerated again.
This change must be forever.
If someone doesn't have the basic tools they need to survive, they're more likely to recommit a crime and come back. So we know that it's not just a mental health problem. We know it's more of, a well-being problem.
We started working with Dr. Jones about 4 or 5 years ago when she worked for the hospital system.
Yeah.
We're looking for a full-time executive director.
And then we're ready to go?
We didn't need to search anymore. We had somebody that knew corrections, knew the inner workings of the place, but yet had this vision that was beyond the walls, about fixing people and about how we were going to make communities better, and she got it.
I do.
Much of my childhood, my father spent some time incarcerated. After he got out, I saw him build his own business, has not lived in, a life of crime since then. He really turned everything around. And while some people may say that, those experiences made me a quote unquote at-risk youth, I say that it exposed me to real life. It exposed me to a life that so many people experience and unfortunately don't have the ability to bounce back from.